Good morning, everyone. How are we all this morning? Wow. Really enthusiastic. Well, today you're going to have the opportunity to spend some time with some of Calgary's best thinkers to start talking about Canada, to start talking about this great nation and how we will inspire one another to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Canada. Hey, Patty Pond, how did you become someone with the Community Foundations of Canada?
You'll find out in a minute.
Oh, very exciting. I was looking at the list and went, But I hope that you'll have the opportunity to have a really thoughtful conversation, and thanks to CBC and the folks who are bringing us together for this conversation, because 2017 is starting to feel like it's really close. When Colin Jackson first started talking to me about this almost 3 years ago, I thought to myself, wow, he's planning way in advance. Maybe none of us will be around in 2017. No, Lord knows. In my job, you never know if you're going to be around. If I make it through October, I'll still be around in 2017. Just had to think about that for a second. But it is coming up, and it is a remarkable opportunity for us as Calgarians and us as Canadians to think about what's important to us as a community, to think about what we can do. And I don't want to take away any of what you're going to hear from others, particularly from Colin Jackson, but I think that there are some very interesting ideas centered around this concept of what gifts the nation has given to us and what gifts we can give to the nation. And I would really encourage you all to think about that as we think about what 2017 is about, because certainly there'll be fireworks and there'll be lots of cake. But let's think about something a little more deep, a discussion about our past, our present, and our future. Now, it will surprise and shock all of you to know that in my mind, I've got a bit of a bias in favor of thinking about cities and what has happened with cities over the history of our great nation and what will happen to our cities going forward. Not just as physical places, but as the vibrant, alive, exciting, beating hearts of our community where citizens gather. And to me, that really is the concept that I am playing with as I think about 2017. And it's all about community and all about how we think of ourselves as community and how we take that model of community and expand it to something that's even more exciting. You know, I talk a lot about citizenship. And when I talk about citizenship, I don't mean what passport you carry, but I mean what you do to build the communities in which you live, and in fact, the communities in which you don't live. And I also talk a lot, and many of you have heard me talk a lot, about the core success factor of what makes this country, this province, and this city work so well. And to me, it's very simple. That in this difficult and troubled world in which we live, we seem to have figured something out here that so few others in the world have figured out. And I don't know why we figured it out. I think it actually has to do with the fact that it's cold. But what we figured out is a very simple thing, and that is that we're all in it together. That we share this plot of land with one another, and that the success of any one of us is indeed the success of all of us. It's been hard for a lot of people in the world to get that message. And I think 2017 will be another opportunity for Canada, for Alberta, for Calgary to be able to spread that message. That every single person in every single corner of this community, regardless of what they look like or where they came from, or their economic status or their family status or where they worship, that every single person in our community deserves the opportunity to live a great life. And sometimes I think of that, when I'm being a little more academic, as the generous sharing of opportunity, which costs us nothing but gains us so much. And to me, I think that's a core theme that we should explore as we move into 2017. The other core theme I think that we should explore is this thing I alluded to earlier, which is all around citizenship. I realize I'm not wearing my little green button today, which is a bit strange. I always wear a little green button. So imagine I'm wearing a little green button. Beautiful little green button with a big number 3 on it. I wear it all the time because it reminds me of a little program that we launched a couple of years ago called 3 Things for Calgary, which is a very, very, very simple program. It simply encourages everyone in our community this year to do 3 things for the community. And now let me tell you, when I was first elected, you'll remember what it was like in 2010. It was a really remarkable period right around that election, where people suddenly started conversations that maybe we didn't have before, conversations around what our community is and differing views on what our community could be. And you know, part of that was about politics. Maybe the first sentence of the conversation was, who do you like for mayor? But it got much deeper very quickly. And people were talking to one another. They were talking to one another in line at the grocery store. They were talking to the person next to them on the bus. And when I was first elected, I pulled in a group of super community volunteers, a couple of whom I think are in the room. And I said, all right, you got 30 days. In 30 days, I want you to come back and tell me how to get even more Calgarians engaged in their community, to keep up the conversation we had during the election, between elections. 45 days later, they came back to me, and they said, Mayor, great news, we've come up with a name for our committee. This is one of the problems of having super volunteers. By the way, as I've told them many, many times, they could not have done worse with the name for the committee. The Mayor's Committee on Civic Engagement. Doesn't that sound exciting? Some days after that, they came to me with this concept of 3 things for Calgary, and I got to tell you, I didn't like it. I said to them, you know, guys, you've done something magic. You simultaneously come up with something that is too simple and too complicated. It's too simple because we're not telling people what to do. We're not giving them an idea of the kinds of things they can do that would have the greatest impact in the community. And it's too complicated because you're asking people to do 3 things, not just 1 thing. And that's a big commitment. And they convinced me to try it. And over the couple of years since then, and the tens of thousands of Calgarians who've signed up for this program, I've realized that those 2 things I criticized were in fact the strengths of the program. Not telling people what to do means that each person gets to make a decision on what's important for them. They get to make a decision on the assets and capacity and capability that they have, what they have in their own hands and hearts and minds and souls, and match that with things that they're passionate about. And, of course, the fact that we're asking people to do 3 things is a bit of a ruse. It's not a very well-hidden ruse. It's not about doing 3 things. It's about creating a lifetime habit of service and giving people the opportunity to start by doing that. And, you know, we've had so many great examples. The woman who built I call it a birdhouse in her front yard. She calls it a little free library. Sherry, who is on the Mayor's Committee for Civic Engagement, stocked it with books. And since then, it's become a little community hub. People take a book, leave a book. A remarkable thing, in fact, there's one of them in front of the CBC building now. And little free libraries are popping up across the city. My favorite example, the one I've used a million times, I need to stop using it, but I love it so much, is the guy who told me, I'm having a barbecue. And I said, okay. And he said, but I'm going to do it in my front yard instead of my backyard. And I'm going to invite all the neighbors on my street because I don't really know them. And that has led to people replicating the front yard barbecue all over the city. And this summer, though it's already April, they better get on it. There is a group of people who are looking at a single day for citywide block parties, which I am very, very, very excited about, replicating the front yard barbecue across the city. I know of a woman who had a very terrifying thing happen to her. She had to take her child to the Children's Hospital emergency room. They ended up staying there all night. It was frightening. It was very, very disconcerting, obviously. But the kid was okay. That's the good news. But the next morning, after they'd been there all night, after that terrifying sleepless night, the mom realized that she just wanted to feel a bit more human. And how better to feel human in the morning than to wash your face and brush your teeth? But who, when they're taking their kid to the emergency room in the middle of the night, thinks to pack their toothbrush? Simple thought. She's now collected over 6,000 toothbrushes, which she's donated to the Alberta Children's Hospital emergency room and continues to collect toothbrushes throughout the community. These are the kinds of things that build the community, that change the community. And I think that that is really one of the things that I'd love to think about as we think about how we celebrate 2017. Let me throw an idea out there. 3 things for Calgary, 3 things for Canada. 3 gifts for the country in 2017. And I think as we look forward to 2017, we can think about that whole issue of how we use the birthday as a catalyst to help us think about how we can be better citizens. Because I think that in the process of improving citizenship, we improve communities. And when we improve communities, we improve the nation. To me, there could be no better birthday gift than that. There could be no better way for us to be able to celebrate what we've built and what we've achieved together and to fulfill the incredible promise of this great country. Thank you all and good luck today.